Hey guys, LevelCap here, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Gaming. We do this show every week, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to catch the next one. The curtain on Modern Warfare's upcoming Battle Royale mode is slowly being pulled back. New leaks have revealed that it will be called Warzone, features a player count of 200, and has some pretty interesting mechanics. Players will be able to call in a predefined loadout via drop kits. Throughout a match, you'll earn Blunder, Warzone's currency. You can use this currency to buy items, kill streaks, and even respawns from supply stations scattered throughout the map. Known kill streaks include the Precision Airstrike, Cluster Strike, and UAV. You'll also be able to buy a gas mask, armor plate bundle, munitions box, and more to help you survive the match. On top of these details, it's also been discovered that the full Warzone map is currently viewable in-game. Starting a private match on select maps like Vacant and Atlas Superstore with free cam enabled will let you fly around the Warzone map. It has several notable locations: the airport scene in the teaser, all of the ground war maps, and several areas from the Spec Ops mode. It does look like the rumor that Infinity Ward made a mega map which they then cut into smaller map chunks is somewhat accurate. The full map is absolutely massive, as you can see this from a top-down view. We also know that Warzone will have a dedicated tutorial players can run through whenever they want to get more familiar with the game. What we don't know yet is when Warzone will go live. The most recent patch for the game was over 50 gigabytes, so clearly the devs packed something pretty major into the game. With the low poly version of the full map already in the game, it's obvious the entire map is tucked away in it somewhere. Sony is apparently struggling to keep costs down with PlayStation 5. A report broke this week claiming the per unit manufacturing cost of the PlayStation 5 is around $450. By contrast, the PlayStation 4's manufacturing cost was about $381. That console originally sold for $399 on launch, which basically means Sony sold it at a loss. With the PlayStation 5 costing nearly $100 more to make, it's likely the next-gen console will launch at a $500 price point. Sony are reportedly waiting for Microsoft to announce the pricing on the Xbox Series X. If Microsoft somehow managed to keep costs down and release a sub-$500 console, that could severely impact the PlayStation 5's launch sales and pricing. Both consoles are probably getting revealed during E3 this year with a holiday 2020 launch window. Half-Life ALYX has a proper release date. Valve's first new game in the series debuts on March 23rd. It's currently a VR exclusive title, meaning you'll need a compatible VR headset to play it. The good news is the list of compatible devices ranges from Valve's own $1,000 index system all the way down to Samsung's Odyssey Plus, which regularly sells for $250. Valve also released a few new screenshots of the game alongside the release date announcement. They don't give away much, but they certainly look good. In other Half-Life news, the Black Mesa remake of Half-Life 1 is nearly finished. The game's 1.0 launch candidate is currently available as a beta to players on Steam. Sections of the remake's final level have been available to test for some time now, but none of the tests have been considered feature complete until now. There are a handful of known issues the devs are looking to sort out before launch. Battlefield 5 players will be happy to hear DICE have addressed the tank balance issues on Solomon Islands. The new Pacific map allowed attackers to use 4 LVT tanks at the start of a breakthrough round. Assuming they took the first couple of sectors, they could then spawn additional tanks. Meanwhile, the defenders get barely any tanks for the entire match. As for the highly anticipated 6.2 update, there's still no official word on its release date. Producers at DICE are currently working on the patch notes document for 6.2, and it's likely we'll see it in about 2 weeks from now. Typically, DICE releases the patch notes for an update a day or so before it goes live. It's looking like 6.2 could potentially launch in the first week of February. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds 6.2 update adds a proper team deathmatch mode to the game. It's currently available on the test server and will launch for the live game next week. While PUBG has dabbled in alternative modes in the past, they've all mostly been shoehorned into the game as a limited time mode without much forethought put into their design. This TDM mode is built specifically as a TDM mode from the ground up. What's interesting is the light version of PUBG has featured TDM for a couple of months now. That version of the game is available on mobile and PC as a free-to-play download. The next operation for Rainbow Six Siege Void Edge leaked just ahead of the proper reveal. It adds 2 new operators, Yana on attack and ALYX on defense. Yana's ability is a 1-to-1 hologram projection of her that you can control. You can't shoot or otherwise interact with the level, but enemies might find it difficult to tell the difference. A single bullet or jamming device will destroy the hologram. ALYX is the first operator that can jump. His dash ability gives him a short speed boost that lets him knock down enemies, including ones with shields. Using the dash to crack through breakable walls and reinforcements is also possible, but the walls cause him to take minor damage. He can dash multiple times in a row if you let his ability recharge multiple times. ALYX can also jump up through interior hatches. It's separate from his dash ability, so they can be used in tandem to give ALYX a ton of mobility. The Oregon map has also gotten some renovations, giving defenders more breathing room with extended areas and opened up hallways. The Void Edge update will be live on the test server this Monday. The next addition to Halo's Master Chief Collection remake on PC is now available in limited testing. Selected players can dive into Halo Combat Evolved's multiplayer and 4 campaign missions. Custom game modes are available and feature options from the original game. More Master Chief Collection titles are expected to launch this year, hopefully completing the collection before 2021. Bidding for the Nintendo PlayStation prototype is currently up for auction. At the time of writing this, the current bid was at $350,000. But what is this thing? Well, before Sony decided to make their own console, they worked with Nintendo to develop what would later become the PlayStation 1. The prototype accepts Super Famicom and Super Nintendo cartridges in addition to a CD-ROM drive that was supposedly intended to run games. While no CD games were likely ever produced for the console, it could still prove to be a valuable resource for understanding the history of Sony's original console. The prototype is thought to be one of only 200 ever produced and is the only known working one. It's believed all the other prototypes were destroyed or disposed of. Once bidding ends in 19 days, the reserve price will be revealed. The actual live auction will then begin on March 6th, with the starting bid likely being close to whatever the current auction totals up to. All of that is a long way of saying it'll probably sell for well over $1 million. The company auctioning it off has already turned down a direct purchase offer of $1.2 million. At that price, it might be the single most expensive video game item of all time. Metro Exodus had a lot going on this week. Its latest and likely final DLC, Sam's Story, debuted. It adds a nice epilogue to the events of the main game and tells the story of one of the main game's characters. If you're interested in more info, check out the video I did giving an overview of the DLC. And if you've ever played Exodus, it's a great reason to dive back into the game. Exodus also debuted on Steam after being an Epic Store exclusive for the past year. Of course, the move to Epic Game Store exclusivity caused a huge controversy last year, as it happened just a few weeks before launch, despite the game being available for pre-order on Steam for months already. It's since gone on to be the most successful game in the franchise, especially on console. PC sales were allegedly lower than anticipated, likely due to the controversial move, but it still sold strong on PC. The base game is currently 40% off on Steam. The DLCs can be bought separately or bundled in a season pass. Nvidia's cloud gaming service, GeForce Now, had several key titles disappear without warning. Activision Blizzard pulled all their available titles, including Overwatch and Modern Warfare, from the service. The removal was sudden and unannounced. At the time, neither Activision or Nvidia had any details to offer. It's since been clarified that the titles were only licensed for the streaming service's beta phase. They haven't ironed out licensing for the retail launch of the service, so Nvidia had to pull the games off the service. Hopefully they'll come back soon. In our final story this week, the open-world zombie survival game State of Decay 2 is getting a massive overhaul update that is free for all players. It originally launched in 2018. While it failed to excite critics or players at the time, it's since amassed well over 10 million total players. The new update is called Juggernaut Edition. It's mostly a remaster of the game's graphics, audio, and gameplay systems. The game's tutorial is being expanded to more clearly explain base building. Combat is also being refined to offer a more streamlined experience. The pacing of certain modes is also being improved. On top of that, the update adds a new weapon class, events, and a new map based on the Pacific Northwest. As if all that wasn't enough, the game is coming to Steam and will feature crossplay between all platforms. And that wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.